guys, it's Kevin again, and in this film we're doing to Witches of East End, Season 1, Episode 10, Oh, What a World. And this episode was just amazing. It was such a big game-changing episode, and there's a lot to get me excited for the second season in this episode, and I really enjoyed it. And, the other thing I like was that there are separate plots for this show. For this episode, though, pretty much everything was intertwined in this episode. And everything, that we've had in this season, they all came together in this episode. And it really gives it a great start to Season 2, which I will get to. But let's first get to this episode, which I absolutely loved. And I think it's probably the best episode of the season. It was really intense, and there was a lot of great action here, but let's just get to it. So it begins right where the last episode left off, with Killian and Freya talking on his doorstep. And he basically says that, he told her that Dash will destroy her and everything if she marries him. And she doesn't know what to say. She basically says, I made my choice, get out of my house. And she runs into the house, and Killian chases after her, but leaves as soon as he sees Victor. So she doesn't really know what to do at this point. She's really upset, so she doesn't really know what to do. So we see that Wendy is also invading the catacombs of Fairhaven, and Mike and Ingrid are talking about how she's the second key to Asgard. So when Wendy returns home and says that it's worse than they thought, there's a deadly poison leaking from a rift between both worlds, and Joanna is glad that she has her sister and husband to help her figure things out. So we then see Penelope. She's unleashing a dark spell, one that takes the shape of, they all turn into ravens, and they take to the air. So there's this touching moment, and I really like the scene. It was kind of sad, very sad, actually. It's showing Killian on his boat, Freya in her wedding dress, Dash preparing, and Joanna waking up beside Victor. And I really enjoyed the scene because it basically is showing where everybody's going. You see, Joanna sees Freya in her dress. When Joanna hugs Freya, her veil rips. And Wendy grows worried after a storm starts. A lot of this episode, Freya's stuff, for the most part, was like bad luck and bad things that could happen on her wedding day and, things she's worried about. I really like they touched on that because I thought that was actually really cool. So Penelope was, taking those ravens out. So one of the ravens hits her window. So far, 3 harbingers of doom. And Wendy says that they must cancel the wedding, but Joanna says she can't do that to Freya, who in all her life has never gotten to see her wedding day, never gotten to have children, never gotten to have, that life where she's been able to, because, she's had past lives, and we've seen that before, that she didn't really have, a good life. So I was very happy that Joanna let her continue. But I knew there was going to be more to this, obviously. So Ingrid breaks into Mike's hotel room. The wall is plastered with papers. Obsessed with locating Asgard, she begins taking things. And before she can leave, Mike then shows up. And Mike turns into this crazy, crazy person in this episode at this part. He wonders how she got in his room. He says that he'll do whatever it takes to get through that door. And he says he's not afraid of her, but she says that he should be because she's a witch. And she says it right there. The last episode she didn't want to admit it, but I think he already knew. But then she, finally admits to him that, she is a witch and she can do all this stuff and that she has been a witch all this time. And so Victor walks into the kitchen. He says that he'll be leaving, returning to the city, but Freya doesn't want him to leave. She wants him to walk her down the aisle, and Freya tells her father about her tarot reading, and she says that he met the trickster last night, and she says, And he says, are you sure about that? And he doesn't seem very convinced that Dash is not the destroyer. Because at this point, she thinks Killian is her destroyer. And that Killian was only saying this to try to destroy her, basically. And I really like this one scene where she basically says, to Victor all the problems. And he says, well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to destroy you. But she said it doesn't mean anything good either. So for a while, they were trying to figure out what to do. So basically, Freya tells Joanna that she asked Victor to walk her down the aisle, and Joanna's actually not mad. She says that she wants her to listen to her own heart and do what she feels right. It seems that Joanna and Victor have made amends, and it seems like they're just back to being a really happy couple, and they're back to being a nice family. So that was great. So basically, she wants, and so this gift arrives for Freya, and it's this music box from Killian. It plays a song that gets Freya all emotional. Now, I knew something was going to happen with that music box. I knew there was going to be more to it, and we'll get to that in a second. But Joanna and Wendy are preparing this blessing spell with sage. Wendy wonders where Victor and Joanna's wedding currently stands. And Joanna says there will never be a Victor in me, but Wendy says there's always been a Victor in you. Do you love him? Joanna says that loving him has never been a problem, that she can't let go down that road again. So Dash tricks Freya into visiting him. He gives her this fabulous piece of jewelry and says that she deserves the best of everything, and he's so glad she's his. She kind of makes this face so like she's horrified. And here I was kind of wondering, is she kind of starting to listen to Killian? It seemed like here, this is when she was starting to see Killian's point of view and thinking, maybe this is not a good idea. So Victor returns. Ingrid asks Victor about Asgard and why they were forced to leave. And it seemed like he wanted to actually have a legitimate conversation with her about, you know, her past life and things like that. But she's like, this is not a father-daughter conversation. I just want to talk about Asgard. And he told her there was a war and that to open that door would be catastrophic and there would be people that want them dead. Then we get another montage of Freya getting dressed. She shows everyone her incredible new sapphire bracelet. She says she doesn't care about all the extravagance. She just wants to start a life with the man she loves. And the four of them do a blessing just as they finish, and Freya's bracelet falls off her wrist, and which is another thing with bad luck. And Penelope enters. She says that her father's waiting for her in the music room. And Wendy is distraught that Freya's bracelet broke, which is another, you know, it's bad luck again. So when Freya finds Victor, he says that they met before in her past life, and he tells her about her happy time when she finally found her other half, and his name was Henry. In the flashback, Henry looked like Killian, and Victor tells Freya that Killian is Henry, and institutes that maybe she's decided to marry the wrong person. Now, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I knew that something was going on here with Dash and Killian, and I definitely thought that was really big that we found out that she's actually met him in the past life, and she didn't really, you know what to believe with this, because he's mortal. He's not, he's mortal. That was interesting. So then Joanna finds Wendy. She tells her that she thinks the shifter is Penelope, and she tells Wendy about the weird conversation she and Penelope had about Archibald, and Joanna felt a flash of anger, of pain, and Penelope institutes that Archibald was murdered, and Wendy suggests that they down to the portal to make sure nothing's happened. And Joanna agrees. When they get down there, Joanna's going on about how she should have listened to her, and Joanna says something's wrong, very wrong. Wendy says you're right, turns into Penelope, and zaps Joanna unconscious. And I was like, yes, this is getting amazing, because after this we get to see Penelope on a reign of terror, and I really love this. So Penelope ties up Joanna. She's tied up captive and spellbound, unable to use her powers, and she reveals her true identity as Athena. And that was just, I love that scene right there. So Victor tells Freya that it's her task to decide which man to marry, and Joanna tries to tell Penelope that her father was evil, that she was just a child who didn't understand what he was capable of, and Penelope says that he was murdered. And she also reveals that Dash is truly in love with Freya and knows nothing of their lineage. This is really big. I really love this big reveal. I thought this really changes a lot for the show, and I'm really, this is one of the best parts of the episode, I thought. She basically admits that she stole Killian Dash's powers when they were just babies, so she would have enough power to locate Joanna and her family. And I was just like, what? I'm like, they're mortals here. How did they... I knew there was some type of connection here between the witches and Dash and Killian, but I didn't think it was anything like this. I mean, I thought that was amazing. So, Wendy's looking for Joanna. So, yeah. Oh, right, here we go. Okay. So Freya finds Dash and she tells him that she can't marry him. He gets really angry, and I did not know what he was going to do. He breaks this lamp. I thought he was just going to, do something terrible to Freya right there. I didn't know what was going to happen. So, Wendy's looking for Joanna. She seeks out Victor for help in locating her. Mike shows up at the wedding, and he takes Ingrid hostage with a gun. He drags her down to the portal, and, at this point, Freya's decided she can't go through with the wedding, and I really love that. So then, in the catacombs, Penelope is trying to fabricate Joanna. She prepares this noose. Now the deadly Asgardian poison is coursing in Joanna's veins. Joanna's weakened and can be killed like a normal person. But Wendy finds Joanna, Penelope and Wendy start strangling each other, and this was just awesome. And Mike is adamant that Ingrid opened the door. He shoots her in the shoulder and encourages her. She touches the portal, and the wall begins to shake. So Wendy, and then at the same time, Wendy is breaking Joanna from the spelled circle. Joanna finds a way out the bindings, and she kills Penelope. She throws her right into the fire, and immediately after this happens, Freya gets her powers back, but so do Dash and Killian. And I was like, yes, they're going to get their powers back, and it's going to be really amazing. And then we got probably the biggest scene of all is when Dash finds Killian, who's about to leave. He attacks him. He tries to attack him, and he ends up assaulting him with magic. And Killian appears to be dead and unsure what to do. Dash unties the rope and he sends it to the sea. And because I think really he tried to attack him and he ended up killing him. I don't think that's what he wanted to do. But I think this kind of shows that Dash is going to be our big villain next year. Because if he can do that, imagine what he's going to do. And especially the revenge. I think the revenge is going to get to him. I think the anger is going to get to him. I think especially Freya's going to get to him and he's going to go against Freya. Although I don't know what's going to happen after this. Because after this, we get to the biggest part is when she shows up, she sees that his boat's gone. And she was about to talk to Killian. She was about to, run away with him and everything and, talk to him and stop him from leaving. But now he's dead, so he appears to be dead. I don't know if they actually killed him off. Maybe he could be just unconscious, but whatever happens, Dash did it, and he's a very powerful person, so that makes me think he's going to be the big villain next year. So Ingrid is opening this door to Asgard. Wendy and Joanna show up, but they're too late. The gate has been opened. The blinding, powerful energy destroys Mike, who looks on in amazement. And Wendy, Joanna, and Ingrid look at the portal, and a human walks out, but we don't see his or her identity before the episode ends. And then it cuts to black. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that was such a great finale. I cannot wait for the next season, which is probably not going to be till the fall of next year, because this one premiered in October, so I'm assuming the next one will be also premiering in October, because it seems like those shows that premiere in October continue to premiere in October. But let me just say, this has been such a great series. I've been loving every single episode, and this episode was by far the best of the season. There's so much at risk here, though. I have a few questions for you guys. One, who was that human who walked out? I'm kind of thinking the other person that walked out is Joanna's son. Because if you remember, she left her son, and I think that's him basically saying that he's back. Also, is Killian dead? I'm not sure if he's actually dead or if Dash just, killed him. But I do think that Dash is going to be the big villain of next season. Do you guys think that's going to happen? I think the rage is just going to get to me, just going to, snap and just, go crazy. I think that's what's going to happen with Dash. Is Freya going to get that happy ending? I don't think at this point, I think she's pretty much doomed at this point. I think that's what's going to happen to her. She's pretty much doomed. And, as far as Ingrid goes, do you think Ingrid's kind of going a little crazy? It seemed like, she was just very crazy and she was forced to open this portal, so it was kind of crazy there. But, such a great episode. I absolutely loved it. And, also, is Victor and Joanna okay? It seems like they're okay in this episode, and it seems like they're just trying to be normal. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And unfortunately, I won't see you guys for reviews for a few days, because, unfortunately, there's nothing on tonight, so I won't see you guys till Wednesday for Awkward, so I'll see you then. Bye!